Civ Beyond Earth feels much different from Civ 5 right away. When you land on planet, you're immediately met with these hostile aliens, and of course you have barbarians in Civ 5, but this is going to feel a lot different.
We're huge fans of both science and science fiction, so we wanted to make sure the game starts in a believable place. But it starts moving out very quickly and taking these little steps into the more fantastic. So for that, we looked, far and wide, especially the canon of classic sci-fi literature. There's really no shortage of great sci-fi material out there that we drew from.
One of the things that we had a great time doing was figuring out who the cast of characters is going to be. And the way we did that is we started with the geopolitical landscape of Earth as it is right now, and introduced this thing that we called the Great Mistake. The result of that was this reshuffling and mass migration of people. So the nations sort of reassembled themselves and clawed their way out of this dark age, and it's at the point where they're finally back on their feet again that the game begins, where they're sending spaceships to new worlds. Their leaders represent this multicultural mixing that happens. So a lot of them speak a mixture of languages. For example, the American Reclamation Corporation.
How may the corporation serve you?
The sponsor that you can pick for that, Suzanne Fielding, speaks a combination of Spanish and English sort of interchangeably.
Imposible.
A lot like how everybody swears in Chinese in Firefly. It tells a lot about what happened without saying much.
So the tech web is probably the most fundamental change to this game. Tech is really the engine of civilization, and in historic Civ it follows a pattern that most people already recognize. But in this game, you're moving forward into an uncertain future, which has technologies that we obviously haven't invented yet. So we wanted to make a structure that would let the player play exploratively and kind of discover along the way what technologies were going to be useful or advantageous or just interesting to them. And the tech web is so big that you will not get all the technologies in the course of any one game, which is another departure from historic Civ. But then you start again and end up with a completely different blend that makes your game more exploratory and also more replayable.
The orbital layer is a really exciting addition to Civilization. The ground is always the star of the show, and the orbital layer is there to reinforce that drama that's going on underneath.
So when you land on the planet almost right away, you can go back into the orbit around it and put up tactical or economic or research satellites that are going to augment or change up the situation on the ground. So, defend yourself from invasion or make your cities into economic powerhouses or spy on your neighbors and steal things from them. That's just one of several sort of fundamentally new ways to play the game.
People over there, are you ready for the awesomeness?
After we announced the game, it was really special to sit in that room at PAX East with 700 of our biggest fans.
It was especially gratifying because we're Civ fans too. We grew up on those games, we love those games. And this game was really inspired by that. It's really our thank you to the fans who've been asking us to make this game for a long time and we've wanted to make for a long time.
I've seen more of this war than you can imagine. None shall be untouched by the fires above. Faith lies in ashes. Our fragile alliances crumble to dust as this world is torn asunder. Closes in. Will you stand against it? or lead this world to its bitter end.
Democracy? Democracy. Democracy is not what these people need. Hell, it's not even what they want. America's been trying to install democracies in nations for a century, and it hasn't worked one time. These countries don't have the most basic building blocks to support a democracy. Little things like we ought to be tolerant of those who disagree with us. We ought to be tolerant of those who worship a different God than us. That a journalist ought to be able to disagree with the president. And you think that you can just march into these countries based on some fundamentalist religious principles, drop a few bombs, topple a dictator, and start a democracy? Give me a break. People don't want freedom. They want boundaries, rules, protection from invaders and from themselves. People need a leader who can give them both the support and the constraints to keep chaos at bay. You give them that, and they'll follow. And that's where I come in.
Lady Margaret.
Why have you returned?
What have you seen in your visions?
Very soon, the Dark Lord and his army will march all over Mordor. But a great power can be awakened to prevent it.
Can the curse be broken?
Destroy the Black Hand.
How?
Your power begets followers, willing or otherwise. Find an orc leader, make him a war chief, and all his soldiers will be yours.
An orc army. You haven't told me what you want in return.
Only that you learn what you are truly capable of.
Where am I to lead this army of mine?
I will show you.
I reach the end of the trail. The air is still, and I am a hunter. The hunt has led me to the forgotten edges of this world. Seasons pass, drawing me deeper into the darkness, where I have found the truth. That my redemption is found in ashes. That I must burn away the past to set things right. Once an assassin, now their pursuer. I must destroy those who I once called brother. The air is still, and I am a hunter.
Dad was such a drag. Every day he'd eat the same kind of food, dress the same, sit in front of the same kind of games. Yeah, he was just that kind of guy. But then one day he goes and kills us all. He couldn't even be original about the way he did it. I'm not complaining. I was dying of boredom anyway. But guess what? I will be coming back, and I'm bringing my new toys with me.